I wanted to give some context a little bit about myself. My dogs are playing, so if you hear some noise in the background, that's them playing. I wanted to give some context, but I have a tendency of rambling. I guess rambling is a bit of a harsh word to use, but I have a tendency of flowing to other topics and such, so I have to write my stuff down. I'm going to be reading, but maybe I might elaborate, but mostly reading because I don't want this video to be too long. Oh. Okay. So, my life is a mess right now. It really is. I'm not gonna lie. I am going through it. And yes, it's self-inflicted. But I am so grateful. Okay? I'm gonna explain a little bit. I quit my job last month. I mean, technically I kind of quit like 4 months ago, but I took FMLA and wasn't getting paid for it, and yeah, so I quit my job. So I currently don't have income. I also separated from my ex, at that time my husband. So I am now separated. Also, my brain doesn't want to work like it used to anymore. And I'm realizing certain parts in my life actually happened. So I'm getting a lot of flashbacks and things like that. On top of all of this, I'm completely alone. I am doing this entirely by myself. And at times I feel completely rejected by the world. I am always tired. Like heavy, crazy fatigue, because there's something going on with my body and I don't know yet. You know, we have tests, like the doctor and I. So I'm waiting to hear back from that. And then something in the back of my mind is really afraid that I might be in psychosis and dreaming up all of my hopes and playing up all the positives in my life, because maybe I'm actually failing, so my brain is dissociating and creating this magical thinking so it can cope with what it fears most, and that is failure, because failure equals rejection. But I am so grateful. I am. And from the outside looking in, it is so indicative of someone with BPD. You know, the impulsivity, the fragmented sense of self. What are the other things? What are the 7 or the 9 symptoms of BPD? Gee whiz, I checked every single freaking box, didn't I? But if you shift the perspective, I am so proud of myself. My marriage and my job at that time was eerily similar. I was working in an extremely toxic environment and with bosses that made it their mission to make my job seemingly overwhelming. So they would give me tasks that were part of my job description, but then maybe here and there they would sprinkle types of tasks that required more time than my initial task or the task that's in my PD or my performance or my position description. And so it looked like I was working from outside, but then I wasn't, because I wasn't working on my position description task. I was working on the little things, right? And so then I would receive write-ups for performance because I wasn't able to manage my time, but I was managing my time. It's really hard to explain, and honestly, it gets really frustrating trying to explain it because it sounds like I'm making excuses, and I'm not making excuses. Basically, I was completely gaslit by my bosses and completely gaslit in my marriage. And it is foggy. Everything is you just have to take a deep breath, right? Just basically, I was going through a period of extreme and heavy gaslighting from very important facets of my life. So I quit. And I'm proud of myself, because how fucking brave that is, right? I mean, I could have endured it. I mean, I've been gaslit my whole life, okay? I was gaslit my whole life. And it's not a problem. All I got to do is dissociate a little bit and keep it moving. That's how we continue to go. We just ignore and tell ourselves something else, and that something else maybe, you deserve it, or just work harder, show them a different way, whatever those comments may be. And I couldn't do it this time. It was different because my inner child, the one who was left at the orphanage, I was left at an orphanage when I was 7. The one who endured the mean words and the beatings. The one who was let know she was worthless and should have been aborted. She was tired. She wanted to be loved. And my spirit agreed. So I had to muster up the confidence and stand up for myself. I had to be my own advocate when no one else would. And I was terrified because I knew I would be where I am now, completely rejected by society, an outlier, on the outskirts, a leper, But I had to be a mother to myself. I had to be the mother I always wanted, I always needed. And it took me a couple of months. Actually, it took me a few months. I had to do FMLA. I had to do all that stuff. And I had to just be strong and have faith and continue to have faith. Oh, there's a bird. Continue to have faith that everything will be okay. I left my job right after I told my ex no more. And he left. And for someone who has an extreme fear of abandonment, even though I said no more, there's that push-pull thing. He left. And guess what? I felt so relieved. I didn't think, maybe I did, but maybe I didn't, or maybe I don't know, but I felt so relieved. It felt so light when he left. And I felt an opportunity. I felt like I had a new chance, like a new opportunity to make something mine, to be something I always wanted to be, right? And I think him leaving was the catalyst for me leaving my job. It was that domino effect. And all the dominoes are falling right now. They're falling, but my heart is full. Most of the time it is. There are some times where my mental gets in the way, my ego gets in the way and lets me know how much of a failure I am and how stupid things are and how stupid I am. But in those moments, you just have to take a breath and remind yourself that you are worthy of life. Life isn't meant to suffer the whole time. I'm rambling. Let me read. I was, and I still am alone. And man, some days I really, really feel the vastness of that aloneness. But I'm not lonely. I'm not lonely. I don't have friends. I don't have people checking in on me. I don't have family. I don't have any of that. If anything, I have bill collectors. but nope. I don't know if that was tacky, but I thought it was funny. But I'm not lonely. And you know what? It's not as bad as I imagined. It really isn't. And this statement may be followed with a yet, because my brain still refuses to go back to the way it was. Maybe my brain is still in psychosis. But I'm all right. And I'm making it. However I'm doing it, I'm making it. And for me, I believe in the divine. I believe that there is something more. And the divine is inclusive. My higher self, me, everything is inclusive. Because we're all interconnected. We're all connected. We're all connected. And I have hope. My brain doesn't want to work. It doesn't want to continue on with the corporate language and the corporate words and the corporate blah, blah, blahs. It doesn't want to do that anymore. I can't even create a resume at this point in time for me to look for another job. It's not laziness. It's just not working in that way anymore. It just wants to be creative. It's like a young adult that refuses to go to college and just wants to be an artist right now, because that's what it wants to be, an artist. It wants to be a creative. And I'm allowing my brain to do so, because that's what it wants to do. I'm a little frustrated because, yes, I need to pay my bills. I am used to a certain way of life. I'm not used to penny pinching. I had to before, but because of those experiences, this is why I changed who I am, so that I wouldn't have to experience that again. But here I am, penny pinching once again. But this time for a different reason, not because it's out of my control. It's within my control. Because I have control. I have the choice. And I made the choice, right? I wanted to be free from the structures. I wanted to be free from the separation, the lines that separates everyone. I don't want to be in that thinking, that way of life, the hierarchies, and I don't want to be a part of that structure anymore. And kind of is not that right word. That's not the right word. It's kind of not okay with my reality, because I am a mother and I need to provide for my kids. And I'm providing for them just fine. But from the outside looking in, it may not seem that way, because I quit my job and I left my husband, and I am so impulsive. My community has already rejected me because I'm not sure, but I was never really accepted in a community. But I know that they talk, and now they'll talk more because I'm failing as a mother in their eyes. And I mention this because these are the fears. These are the fears that prevented me from advocating for myself, it prevented me from being confident and just going along with being treated badly. In my eyes and in my heart, I know I'm doing a good job, because I am modeling for my children to defy the expectations of the external and to advocate for your internal. Advocate for yourself regardless of how heavy your external gets, because gee whiz, man, it gets so heavy. It's so heavy with hate and judgment, yet never with love. And the world knows this, yet still blindly and willingly submits, ironically carrying the same weight. I may not make sense. Or I'm maybe taking the words right out of your head. And if I stole your words, thank you. Thank you. Stick with me so that I can continue to be your voice. Let me take some of that weight off of you and give you validation instead. Let me give you understanding and curiosity. Let me give you comfort and familiarity. Let me give you acceptance and love. You are worthy. You are incredible. You are beautiful. Your beauty is otherworldly. A type of beauty this world isn't ready yet to understand. And honestly, not yet privileged to see. But I see you, and I feel you. I see your light. Don't dim it for anyone. Let your heart shine as it was meant to. Okay? Be the light this world desperately needs. Just by being yourself. Just by being you. Remember, make it an amazing day.